Good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing well, or good morning, or whenever you're watching this. If you're watching it live, if you're watching the recording, welcome. And thank you so much for joining me tonight. I am so excited to be here with everybody because tonight we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome. And for many people, this is something that plagues them. It plagues them from doing the things that they want to be doing. So we're going to be talking about a bunch of different ideas, a bunch of different concepts about what imposter syndrome is, how we can actually get ourselves through it, what techniques. I'm a very practical guy, so what are certain techniques, whether it's a physical technique or a mental or mindset technique that we can start to use. And we're going to just talk about imposter syndrome, and we're going to literally just obliterate it. We're not going to have imposter syndrome anymore because we're going to allow ourselves to do the things that we always wanted to do. And I'm sure we're all have been held back and quote unquote plagued by this idea, by this concept of imposter syndrome. And it's our job to really work on it, to get ourselves through it, just because there's no reason why we can't be living the lives we want to be living and doing the things, the amazing things that we all want to be doing, just because we're a little scared, just because we're nervous, just because we feel held back a little bit. So today we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome, which I'm very excited about. I'm very passionate about this topic. I'm very passionate about personal development in general. So that is one of the main topics that I love focusing on. So throughout these next couple of weeks, you're going to be seeing me here on OKclarity, which is going to be very exciting. It is interesting because I go live every day on LinkedIn every morning. So this is going to be a little interesting going on Instagram over here, but we're going to have a good time. Feel free to follow me at Coaching with Bennett on Instagram over here. As well, you can follow me on LinkedIn over there. I'm on Twitter. I'm everywhere. So you can just find me over there. We're going to have a great time. We're going to be speaking about a lot of really cool ideas. So that being said, who is this guy that is, that is talking on OKclarity? So my name is Bennett Schwartz. I'm a high performance and life coach, and my job is to really just help people live a both better personal and professional life. So if you are looking to live a better life, whether it's professionally or personally, I'm your guy. I'm here to help you to take it to the next level. You go to my website, you go to OKclarity, you can find me there, and I would be happy to even gift you a free 20-minute coaching call just so you can experience it. A lot of times people are a little nervous, like, what's this coaching thing? Is it therapy? Is it coaching? Which just a little foreshadow, I'm going to be talking about that a little bit. The next time I get on here is I'm going to be talking about the difference between coaching and the difference between therapy, which is going to be a really cool topic. But just for now, if anybody is interested, I'll be happy to jump on a free call, really just have you experience coaching, really show the power of it. And I usually guarantee some type of change. I know you can't really guarantee anything, but thank God, I think there's maybe been 1 or 2 calls out of the 100 that I've done that were a complete dud. So I'm pretty confident that we're going to be able to accomplish and to do so much. So that being said, if anybody has any questions, feel free to put them down in the chat below. Everybody will wave. We will start to wave to people. Yeah, there we go. We are so excited that people are here. And thank you so much, everybody, for coming. It means a lot, not just to me, but to OKclarity. They're an incredible organization, really helping so many people. It's crazy how many people they're helping, and really good job to Faye and to the team, especially Robin, who's been a huge help. So thank you so much to everybody. But let's just jump into it because let's talk about imposter syndrome. So I'm going to start with a story. So I had a client of mine who was working on getting out, trying to get her first job. But the thing that she had, the issue that came up with her was that she wanted to get a degree. She wanted to get that extra degree. She went to school, she got her master's, but wanted to get that other degree. And the reason why she wanted to get that other degree was because she wanted to, she saw her professors and they had lots of degrees. I need to get more degrees. And I was okay, I hear it a little bit, you could probably get a job right now, probably get a good job right now, but she wants to continue to get more and more degrees. And I was okay, fine. And then the next degree she got, she was I really want to get another degree. And I was but you said that last time. Why is this any different? Why is it that you need to get even another degree? And we spoke about it, and she kept falling into this position where she kept seeing people in her life who were a step or 2 steps ahead of her, who had more degrees or had more different letters after her name. And she kept saying that I'm not good enough yet to be in the field, to be teaching. And because I'm not good enough yet, I'm not able to put myself out there. And what was interesting is that this is classic imposter syndrome. Not thinking that you're good enough to do the thing that you want to be doing. You might be scared. You might be nervous. You might be anxious to put yourself out there, to put yourself in a position where you can start to succeed in a specific area, but your nerves hold you back. It's you literally being chained back and not being able to move because you want to move forward, but you're just so scared. It's like you have like this mask that's like put on top of you, and you're not able to move forward. And if we can start to recognize and start to say, hey, you know what? There's a lot more over here than there might be. You know what? Maybe I could start to work on my mindset to really get myself forward, to get out of this thing. Then we can start to understand what's going on. So if you're somebody who says the words like, that's not who I am, or like, I can't do that, or, it's that person, but it's not me. So we have to start to realize that that is the face of imposter syndrome. And there's no reason why something that's really not holding us back should be holding us back. So today we're going to talk about what are different things we can start to use, and what are things that we can start to do. And what's so hard about imposter syndrome is that it's so debilitating. There you go, that's the word. And the reason why is because we want to really do that thing, or we want to get to that next level. And the only way to get there is like through this like little hole, or this little path that we have to take. And if we don't get through there, if we don't do it, then we're never going to be able to step into the next phase, that next thing that we're going through. And that is something that is so key and so important when it comes to these ideas in general. So when we're trying to get through it, and when we're trying to move forward, when we're trying to allow ourselves to step into who it is we want to become, we have to understand that there's this concept, this idea, this invisible wall in front of us that we have to start to break through. And the first idea, the first piece of advice that I would try to give on this idea is that there's some confidence that is missing. And when most people come to a situation, they say, I want to be confident when I do it. So if you're getting up to sing in front of people, it's like, I want to be confident to do that. I want to come onto a live and just speak to hundreds of people. It's like, I want to be confident to do that. But we have to understand that confidence isn't the thing you're really looking for. When you're talking about Bennett, like, I want to be confident to do it. It's like, yes, but why do you have the right to be confident yet? You've never done it before. Who is it that you should be now, but like you need to have that experience? You don't have the experience. So how are you supposed to get the confidence? You see, when most people ask for confidence, what they're really asking for is courage. And if you think about that, just think about that for a second. How many times do you want to be confident to do something? You want to be confident to go over to that guy or to that girl. You want to be confident to put yourself in a position, a leadership position. So they need a volunteer and you want to just raise your hand. I wish I was that confident person. But you can't put yourself out there. And the reason why you can't put yourself out there is because you're thinking about the wrong thing. You don't need to be confident in that situation. You need to be courageous in that situation. And what that does is it gives us permission to raise our hand. It gives us permission to take that step forward. And that is something that is so incredible if you think about it. We have the ability to move forward, to step into the situation. We have the ability to say, hey, I'm nervous, but it doesn't matter. And I'm going to still allow myself to do the thing that I'm looking to do. So the next time you get nervous, the next time you're in a situation where, you know what, you can't get yourself to do something because you're scared and you're waiting for confidence to be there, understand that confidence is the result of being courageous. So once we're courageous, once we're able to step into the moment, and not just one time, once we're able to step into it a bunch of times, then we'll be able to really become more confident. We'll be able to step into that situation and to do the things that we're looking to do. So don't get it confused. The next time you are looking to be more confident in something, understand that I have to be more courageous in this moment. And allow yourself to step into it. So if you have this imposter syndrome in front of you, recognizing, hey, you know what? There's something in front of me that for some reason I can't do. I can't put myself out there. We have to realize that it's not the confidence, it's not this feeling of like, yeah, I totally got this. I'm like totally good. We have to realize that that discomfort is part of the game, that is part of the growth. And if we can start to realize that, then we can start to move forward. And I think that's one of the big mindset shifts that we need to make around this idea of imposter syndrome. Understanding that when somebody is going through imposter syndrome, it means that they're growing. It's actually a good thing. So we have to take a step back for a second and realize that whenever we have emotions, our emotions are there for us. Our emotions are protecting us. They are there to benefit us. They are telling us they want to protect our body. So whether you're scared, it's because, you know what, there's something going on over here and my body wants to protect me. You know, or maybe you're anxious or nervous. There's a reason why you're doing that. And you have to realize that it's there for our benefit. It might not be a great feeling. We might not like that feeling. We might have to work on that feeling. But understand that feeling is there for a reason. For example, I one time had a client who, he one time came over to me and he said, Bennett, For some reason, I'm scared to build my business. So usually the reason is because they have this fear of failure. Very common among people. They had this fear of failure. And we started talking about this idea of fear of failure. And he's like, no, that's not it. It's not fear of failure. I was like, okay, well, what do you think it is? And he goes, I think I'm scared of being successful. All right, tell me more. And we got into this conversation and trying to think about what was going on in his mind. And he said that if I become successful, that means I'm gonna have to be spending more time in my business. If I'm spending more time in my business, that means I'm gonna be spending less time with my family. If I'm spending less time with my family, that's something that's a priority to me. That's something that's important to me. If you think about it, that is interesting. The fact that he didn't want to succeed because he thought that he was going to have to be held back from his family, that he wasn't going to be able to put himself out there to be the type of parent and the type of spouse that he wanted to be. It's a beautiful thing. So emotionally, you're looking at it like, okay, he's holding himself back. He has this fear. But if you start to understand what the fear is, and that's like the deep work I love doing. It's like understanding what that fear is. Then we can start to realize, hey, you know what? Like maybe that fear is there to protect you. We don't want to get rid of that fear. Because what happens if we get rid of that fear? We have this person who has this fear of success, and that fear is telling him that your family matters to you. So what happens if we get rid of that fear? Then we get rid of this idea that your family matters to you. And we don't want to get rid of that. That's a beautiful thing. We have to learn how to manage it. So we have to put in the pieces that are going to help us and continue and be there for us to make sure that we continue to do the things that we're looking to do. But to also recognize, hey, you know what? It's really important that we have to see what that emotion is telling us. And if that emotion is telling us something great, if that emotion is telling something quote unquote bad, we have to realize that it's there for our benefit. And we have to put ourselves in that situation to recognize what is this emotion telling us. I had another woman come over to me and she says to me, Bennett, you know what, I'm doing well, but every time I do well, I always do poorly. And I'm scared that the next time I do well, I'm gonna lose it all. And after speaking to her this is one of the free calls we had, about 20 minutes later, she started crying. And the reason why she started crying was because she realized that in the past 3 times in her life, she's seen success and it's followed by a huge failure that took her back 2 or 3 steps. And she said, I don't want to ever become successful because it's always pushing me back. And she never linked the 3. She never realized that that's part of her belief system. That is just a limiting belief. It's just a false belief, whatever she's looking to do. And that is something that is so important and so important to understand about herself. And it makes sense why she doesn't become successful. Why would you want to become successful if you know that every time you're successful, you're going to fail? It's going to take you back. Of course you're not going to be successful. But understanding what the emotions are telling us is so important. And the same thing, we're going to tie it back to imposter syndrome. When we have imposter syndrome, what is that telling us? How are we defining it? And most people define it as something that's bad, that's negative. But let's say I told you it's the best thing in the world. Imposter syndrome is amazing and you should embrace it and you should be so happy when you feel it. Doesn't mean you have to like it, but you should be so happy when you feel it. Why? Because it's telling you you're growing. You're taking it to the next level. Your body, whatever you're doing is there and you're succeeding at the thing you want to be doing. And now there's this discomfort to take it to the next level. That's a beautiful thing. What is that not? Anybody with me? Put in the chat, please, if you're with me. This is a beautiful thing. We can start to see that, hey, you know what? There is so much more going on here when we feel imposter syndrome. When we have this idea that there's things going on in our life, we feel uncomfortable, we want to do it, but we can't because we're scared to put ourselves out there. Guess what? That is a beautiful thing. If we can start to recognize that, then guess what? We could start to do this more. We can start to take things more seriously. We can start to understand, okay, this situation, I'm nervous because I've never done it before, which makes sense why you would be nervous. But guess what? I'm growing. I'm becoming something. I'm becoming somebody. Because I'm becoming somebody, because I'm doing something, that is something that is so powerful. And that is what we have to recognize. That is what we have to start to see when it comes to imposter syndrome. Because instead of stepping away from it, instead of pulling ourselves far away from this idea of imposter syndrome, embrace it, because what it is telling you is that you are growing. You are growing, you're becoming somebody who you want to become. Your body has been put in a situation, your mind's not there yet. Your mind's 2 steps behind saying, hey buddy, take a step back. You are not able to do this thing. But guess what? You have the ability to do it. You know why? Because you've gotten to this point. You've stepped into this moment. And it's not going to change until you take that action. which is like the scariest part if you think about it. And we're talking about in a second, what's a practical tip that you can start to do. Really cool technique that I learned. But understanding just the mindset behind it, that whenever we have imposter syndrome, instead of defining it as a bad thing, define it as a beautiful thing, because that means you're stepping into the life that you want to be living. You're stepping into the things that you want to be doing, which is like so amazing. And that brings me to this anchoring point. And this is the last idea. If anybody has any questions, make sure to put them in now. But to recognize, hey, there's this idea called anchoring. So I don't know if anybody's here have ever heard of this idea called anchoring, but anchoring is this concept. A lot of coaches use it. I've seen it used in many different areas. But what we pretty much want to do is we want to take this idea, this feeling, this emotion from one area of our life, and we want to anchor it to another area of our life. Okay, let me give you an example. If I had to ask you, what is one area of your life that you're like uber confident in? That you were like totally fine. That if I would ask you to, do it in front of 100 people, in front of 1,000 people, like you would totally be fine. Maybe it's buttoning your shirt. Maybe it's tying your shoes. Whatever the thing is, that's like tying your shoes. Let that feeling of, just close your eyes for a second and think about it. Okay, when I tie my shoes, you even think about it. That's how good you are. You don't even have to look. So that concept, that idea of tying your shoes and realizing, hey, you know what? I have such confidence when I tie my shoes. What's that feeling? What's that emotion when I get into it? I don't even think about it. That's how good I am. Embrace that feeling, that emotion. And then what we want to do is we want to take that feeling, that emotion, and we want to anchor it into another area of our life where maybe we're a little bit nervous. Maybe this position of imposter syndrome where we don't necessarily feel like we could put ourselves into it. And if we could realize that, hey, you know what? We have this ability that we can take this emotion from one area of our life and connect it to another area of our life, then when we start to do that second thing, that thing that's very nervous for us, anxiety-ridden for us, we have the ability to embrace and to step into the moment of confidence. It's not going to be 100%, but it's definitely going to be a lot more than where you were. And I'll give you an example that happened to me. There's one time I stepped into a position where I signed up to do this thing that I've never done before. I was like really scared. I was like so scared because I was putting myself out there in front of other people, and I sort of volunteered myself, which I knew would be good for me, but like I didn't want to be doing in the first place. But I knew I had to start to anchor. So what I did was I found a thing, which was actually tying my shoe. I thought about tying my shoe, and I thought about the feeling I got when I tie my shoe. Like it's like a no-brainer. Like I got my shoe, like totally fine. And what I did was I practiced before I stepped into this position. I practiced, meaning I sat down, I did my deep breathing. I know everyone on OKclarity talks about breath work, which is amazing. So I hope you guys are doing breath work. So during your breath work time, during your you have a second, and really picture it. Picture yourself doing the confident thing, and then picture yourself doing the thing that you get anxious about, or you feel imposter syndrome about. And I started practicing it, going back and forth, about 3 days before this thing, and then every day I would do it, just so I could get quicker and quicker at it. And then when the day came for me to step into that position, I was nervous. My heart was beating for like the hour before, and then I finally get to the position, and I thought to myself, okay, let me start to get into that mindset. Let me start to anchor that feeling that I've been thinking about, that I've been practicing, to this new idea. And then I set myself into it and I rocked it. And it was the first time where I used this concept of anchoring, and I was like, this is a huge game changer. We have to understand that we have to practice it, but it can be something that can be so, so powerful. So try to think about something that you've used, something that's been really powerful to you, something that you're so confident in, and try to see how is it that you can start to anchor it to this other concept, this other idea. Because once you can start to anchor it, once you can start to say, hey, this is my thing that I'm good at. So now whenever I have something nervous I have to do, because the only way we're growing is if we're pulling ourselves out there. It's like, when you go to the gym, so you could be lifting like 1-pounders all day, but like that's not going to do anything. Once you have the resistance, that's going to be the thing that's really going to grow your muscles. That's going to be the thing that's going to give you the body that you want, right? So we have to understand also with our emotional sense, we have to realize that that's when we're growing. And unfortunately, a lot of people are going through so much right now. And on the one hand, we could define it as like a tough time, and everybody's going through a tough time, quote unquote. Or we define it as like, this is when we're growing the most. Think about that. Imagine if you defined it like right now we're all going through stuff, especially with the war in Israel, and to say, hey, like we're growing right now. Like this is growth. This discomfort means we're growing. We're becoming somebody, whether we like it or not. We're becoming people right now. We're becoming ourselves. We're seeing whose true color is really coming out. And that is something that is beautiful. It's such a better way to appreciate the situation that's going on. Appreciate this idea and this discomfort and this, all the hardship that's going on right now. Because if we could start to understand, hey, you know what? This is something that's going on. This is really tough right now. But guess what? When it's tough, that's when I'm growing. Define it like that. That's a totally new life you're living right now. That's a totally different appreciation you have for the situation. And we have to realize, yes, sometimes we need to take a step back. Like you can't go to the gym every single day, right? You have to take a step back. You have to let your muscles grow. And I think all of us could use that day right now. But understanding also that we're growing right now. We're becoming right now. So the next time you start to feel yourself getting scared to do something, you're getting scared to put yourself out into a situation. Your boss asks if you want to present. And you're like, no way, because I'm not that person. Or I want to apply for that job, but that's not really me. Guess what? It is you. And that discomfort is showing that you can actually step into it. Of course, you need to figure out, is that something you really want? But let's say that is something you want and you're just scared and you're nervous, which you could probably just ask yourself a question. You'll probably know the answer to it. If you can do that, if you can start to step into that situation, I'm telling you, the experiences you're going to have are going to be so different. Think about it. Success is all just quick decisions that we have to make. If you want to become successful, learn how to make decisions quicker. Putting yourself in uncomfortable positions, making good decisions quicker, and then stepping into it. Failing, and I would say even quote unquote failing, but then learning from the situation, learning from the mistake, and then getting better from it. And if you could do that over and over and over, and that's how the really successful people are doing it. The high performers that I work with, that's what they're doing. They want to mess up as much as possible. They're not scared to mess up. They want to mess up as much as possible so they can constantly step into the next thing. So they can constantly take it to the next level. Because we know that the only way we're going to be growing, the only way our lives are going to be better, and you could talk about any bucket you want. It could be your relationships, it could be your health, it could be your religious life, it could be your personal life, it could be your own personal development, it could be your businesses, whatever area that you want to talk about. You know that success comes on the other side of discomfort. So we could be scared of it, and we could probably get away. You could probably get away with it. But then, which life are we really living? Are we living that default life where so many people are living? That life where life's okay. My relationship's okay. I'm making solid money. Hopefully I'm making solid money. A lot of people are not even making good money. I want to be, I'm a little overweight or a lot overweight, but okay, thank God, I have people around me who love me. But where's the standard? What's the bar that we're looking to live? Because if I asked you, if you would want to live an incredible life, if you would want to live an amazing life, would you choose that? And I think everybody would say yes. But then when I would tell you what you would have to do in order to get that life, would you do it? And then we start to think about it. I don't know. I don't know if I could be on social media as much. Or I don't know if I have to sort of distance myself from certain people, which maybe we'll talk about at a different time. How we can do that strategically. People who are not good for us. What if they're our spouse, even worse? But understanding, there are certain things I need to be doing. There are certain disciplines I need to be doing every single day. That was the man, Jim Rohn, who changed my life. Passed away a bunch of years ago. But I was listening to one of his YouTube videos. He's all over YouTube. He's one of the first personal development gurus out there. He was Tony Robbins' teacher. So if you think about it, I was obsessed with Tony Robbins, and I'm like, let me go to his teacher. And Jim Rohn told me, yes, I believe he told me directly on my walk that day. He said, if you want things to get better in your life, you got to get better. And how true is that? We all got to get better. Myself included. I'm not saying I am there. I am not there. That's why I'm working on it. The reason I get to talk about this stuff is because then I get to remind myself about what I got to start doing. That's the really cool part about it. But recognizing that we all have the ability, we all have the potential to do so much. I used to hate that word potential, and now I'm embracing it like a beast. Because if we can step into a life that we want to be living, imagine the type of life you can have. It could be incredible. And that's what we're looking to do here. That's what we're looking to achieve and to overcome. Because anything that we were so happy about accomplishing, so joyful about, it's because it took a lot out of us. There was a lot. It was exhausting and tiring, and there were ups and there were downs. But that discomfort got us to the success we wanted. And that's what we're looking to do here. So when you have the imposter syndrome, recognize that, we need to be doing more. We need to be stepping into the imposter syndrome. Don't be scared of it, but move forward. Recognize, hey, there's so much more here that we have the ability to step into this thing. Appreciate it. Don't push it away. Understand that It's telling you, it's defining to you that something good is going on. Look to anchor. Take a feeling that you had, anchor it to another feeling, and to recognize that, you know what, stop being to be confident. Start being courageous more. Give yourself permission to be courageous. Look to step into that situation a little bit more. I'm telling you, your life will be totally different. You'll be able to do so much more. If anybody has any questions, feel free to follow me at Coaching with Bennett. You can DM me over there. You'll find me on OKclarity.com, an amazing organization which you all are part of or know about since you are here. And I'm looking so much forward to the next one. If anyone has any specific topics within the realm of personal development or coaching or performance or life coaching, whatever it is, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to speak on that stuff. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. Oh, also, for those who are interested, my company just launched a young professional, a young adult one-on-one coaching program, which is very, very exciting. And we're actually offering a couple of free slots because we're just launching it now. So if anybody's interested, if anybody has a young adult, I would say high school or college, feel free to reach out. And we still have a few slots available. We've had 2 or 3 slots available. So make sure it's totally free. An 8-week course is going to be incredible. So make sure to find me out over there. If anybody has any questions, I'm going to check the bottom to see if there's anything. No questions, which is totally fine. And we'll see everybody on the next one. Alrighty, everybody, thanks so much for joining. We will have a great evening.